guys. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, kung ano mang oras niyo pinapanood to. My name is Alec Cuenca. For the people who don't know me, I'm going to introduce myself a little bit deeper in a while. I will be sharing my story and my experiences, and I will share my thoughts on embracing self-love in overcoming imperfection. And before that, I want to thank Faye for inviting me to be a part of this um, gathering, this event, and for you to allow me to share my thoughts. It's an honor, and it's my pleasure. So I will share a little bit of my story, and I will share with you my points on how I overcome my insecurities, and more importantly, I will be focusing on the question: am I not good enough? I know a lot of people are asking this question. I have asked myself a lot of times in the past. I asked myself a lot of times, am I good enough? And this is a question that plagues a lot of people, especially young people. So I'm going to go a little bit deeper into that. But yeah, I'm going to share my story first and foremost. I grew up here in Olongapo. My story is a little bit dramatic, and my childhood was a little bit emotional, to say the least. My mother was working abroad, and I was left here with my father. And my father was addicted to gambling at that time, and he would trade away or would gamble away most of our food money. And he would go away for a few days and come back na wala na kami makain. So that was the main reason why my mother left him. And there was a point in my life that he would, sometimes hurt me physically. But he's a changed man now. Growing up, there was a time na sinaktan niya ako, and I said na ayoko na. Gusto ko na siguro umalis dito. So naglayas ako. I went to my mother's side. Inampun ako ng mga tita ko. And then I lived alone for for a few months. I think it's a few years, I think. And that was my childhood. My high school life was a little bit better kasi I met my first love. And when you meet your first love, it's all rainbows and butterflies, right? And so when I got into high school, it was the typical high school. Kung ano mga pinagdaanan, ng mga karamihan na high school, pinagdaanan ko rin yan. And it all changed when I was entering Mapua. And I didn't have a choice. I didn't have a preferred program na gusto kong pag-enrollan. So, when my mother saw an ad from Mapua, sabi niya, nakita niya, you'll be an engineer in 4 years or less. Sabi niya, nak, dyan ka na lang. Mag-Mapua ka na lang, mag-engineer ka na lang. And so, since ako wala naman akong mapili, wala naman akong gustong program, I said, sige, I'll be an engineer sa Mapua. So, she sent this 16-year-old to Manila not knowing how dangerous the streets of Quiapo were. She sent this 16-year-old to Manila not knowing how hard it is to live away from your family. She sent this 16-year-old to Manila not knowing how hard it is to step out of your comfort zone. But I went there, and I tried. I tried my best. And then I was rewarded by Mapua with 2 failing grades in my first ever term. I failed basic algebra and basic trigonometry. The most fundamental subjects in engineering, I failed them. And when I failed them, that's when the moment na naisip ko, am I really good enough? Am I even good enough to be here? Am I even good enough to exist? Then doon na nagsimula yung mga doubts, mga fears, and mga insecurities ko. But I still tried. I still moved on. I still kept pushing forward. And then, after 4 years, karamihan ng mga kaibigan ko gumagraduate na. Ako, I was still stuck in Mapua. I was still second year standing. And I was still with my girlfriend that time. And she was studying in UST in political science, and she was really, really smart. And she passed all of her subjects. She graduated in time. And nung pag-graduate na siya, you know how it is with women when they're entering a new chapter with life. Their minds are really wandering and looking at different opportunities. So she said at that time, gusto niya na munang mabuhay ng single. Gusto niya munang makipag-break. And I didn't take that very lightly because I have known this woman for a very long time, and it was the first time na maghihiwalay kami. After 7 years of being in a relationship, she wanted to be alone. And I didn't take it very lightly. And I did what every other reckless, stupid, and naive young man would do when they experience their first heartbreak. They wrecked their lives even more. So I dropped out of Mapua. I didn't eat right. I didn't sleep right. I was drunk most of the time. And then there was a point that I was really depressed. And there was a moment na sabi ko, ayoko na. Di ko na kaya. All the questions that I had of am I even good enough was always going back to that point na sinasabi ko na hindi, you're not good enough. Oh, iniwan ka, hindi ka pumapasa. You are not good enough. That's what the world keeps trying to tell me. So sabi ko nga, baka nga I'm not good enough. But then, when I was on my way to having an episode na sabi ko ayoko na talaga mabuhay, I had a conversation with my mother. To be completely honest, trigger warning. I went to another place because sabi ko dun na matatapos yung buhay ko. Sabi ko. When I was on my way there, my mother called me. I turned off my phone for the whole trip, and then they were all panicking and they were all searching for me. And then sabi ko, sige nga, I'm gonna give life one more chance. So I turned on my phone. Wala pang 2 minutes tumatawag yung mom ko. Sabi niya, nak, uwi ka na. And when I heard that, I snapped out. Sabi ko, what am I doing? This is wrong. Right? So when I heard that, I turned around, I went back home, I hit a reset button, and I let go of everything na nangyari, and I took my life one day at a time. And I started moving forward mula nun. I tried to battle with my insecurities. I tried to battle with my doubts and fears every single day. But I kept on trying. Fast forward 4 years, I am now a motivational speaker. I am the host of the podcast, Small Talk Podcast, which is one of the top 40 podcasts here in the Philippines. I am now the number 2 motivational podcast here in the Philippines. I am a content creator that talks about motivation, inspiration, love, life in general. And I am a mental health advocate. And I wouldn't be here if I was not able to tell myself and say to myself na I just need to take it one day at a time. And I did that. And so why I shared my story with you is to show that you may be dealing with those questions, you may be dealing with those doubts and fears and insecurities. But I'm telling you that you are a lot stronger than you think. You're a lot wiser than you think. You're a lot braver than you think. And if you don't see it right now, I'm here to remind you that you will see it very soon. All you need to do is try to get better every single day. So, moving forward, I am going to share with you some of the tricks, some of the tips that I learned along the way when I was improving myself day to day, when I was battling with that question, am I even good enough? So the first thing that I've learned is that I needed to accept my humanness. And what do I mean by that? When we say that you need to accept your humanness, you need to understand that you are human and human beings make mistakes. Human beings are not perfect. Most of the time, we are too harsh on ourselves. We want to achieve perfection, but that's not life. Life is a series of ups and downs. Life is a series and a balance of good and bad. So if you have a lot of weaknesses, I am sure that you have a lot of strengths. Maybe hindi mo lang nakikita yun, or maybe nakalimutan mo lang. But I believe that every single one of you who are watching right now, who is watching right now, you are so great. Talagang natakpan lang ng mga experiences mo, natakpan lang ng mga kasinungalingan na sinasabi sa inyo ng mundo. But you have a lot of strengths. But you have also a lot of weaknesses. And you shouldn't feel bad about that. You need to accept na tao ka, kaya ka nagkakamali, kaya ka nagkukulang. And pag nagkakamali ka, may pagkakataon ka na baguhin yon, na ayusin. And that's what you need to tell yourself. It's okay kung magkamali. It's okay. But you need to understand that it's normal. It's alright. So that was the first thing. I needed to accept my humanness. There's this concept called the backwards law, where we want to achieve perfection. We want to be a perfect person, but that in reality is a negative experience. Kasi the more na sinasabi natin kailangan maging perfect tayo, mas nakikita natin na hindi tayo perfect. And perfection is something that we cannot achieve. Okay? Perfection is a myth. It's not real. It's not true. Every part of you, it's a part of being human. Your flaws, your imperfections, your shortcomings, lahat ng mali mo sa buhay, it's a part of life. And you need to be lenient with that. And the backwards law says that when we accept the negative experiences in our lives, that is a positive experience. Kasi mas madali na lang tayo mag-move forward kasi alam natin na pag nagkamali tayo, it's part of life. And we don't get into this vicious cycle na we feel bad about feeling bad. Most of the time, pag nakikita natin nagkamali na tayo, magagalit pa tayo sa sarili natin. Sabihin natin na, ano ba yan? Bakit tayo nagkamali? Ngayon, galit tayo dahil nagkamali tayo. Tapos ma-realize natin na, bakit tayo nagagalit dahil nagkamali tayo? So ngayon, magagalit tayo dahil nagkamali tayo. And it goes into this endless loop. What we need to do is stop that loop and say na it's okay na magkamali. It's okay na may pagkukulang ako. And I will continue to try to be better every single day. One way to do that is to apply self-compassion. It's to be kinder to ourselves. Imagine you are talking to your best friend or to your youngest sibling, pinakabatang kapatid mo. And nagkamali siya. Or yung baby, may baby kang kapatid. Sinusubukan niyang tumayo. Tapos nadapa siya. Tapos bumagsak siya. Sasabihin mo ba dun sa baby or sa best friend mo na, ano ba yan? Wag mo na nga subukan ulit? Wag na, diyan ka na lang sa lapag. Wag mo na subukan ulit. No, di ba? You would say na, hey, it's okay na magkamali. It's alright that you fell down, but you need to keep on trying. And we're too used to being kind to other people, pero we're not being kind to ourselves. So what I want you to do is to be kinder to yourself. To apply self-compassion, to apply self-kindness. Na every time na magkakamali ka, sasabihin mo na, okay lang yan. Parte yan ng buhay. You gotta be your own best friend. You gotta be the person na talagang susuportahan yung sarili mo. Mahirap na ang buhay, hindi mo na kailangan pahirapan pa. So kailangan, tanggapin mo na tao ka, kailangan mas maging mabait ka sa sarili mo. So that's the first thing that I learned along the way. You know, I needed to accept my humanness. The second thing that helped me fight or deal with my insecurities, kasi ako before, when I was getting insecure, when I was asking myself that question, papansin ko medyo naging anxious ako. And baka yung iba sa inyo naging anxious din, nagkakaroon ng anxiety attacks. And pag ganun nangyari, one thing that I would tell myself is to breathe, huminga. Karamihan sa atin, masyado nang tinitake for granted yung paghinga dahil araw-araw naman na siya ginagawa, lagi naman na siya ginagawa. But the truth is, our breaths plays a huge part in our emotions. Pansinin nyo kapag umiiyak tayo, medyo bumibilis yung paghinga natin. Kapag nag-focus tayo, bumabagal yung paghinga natin. So one way to control our emotions, one way to control our thoughts is to actually control our breathing. So what we need to do is to breathe, do breathwork exercises para ma-clear yung utak natin sa mga tanong na yun and kakayanan natin kumilos at harapin ng buhay. And I'm going to teach you one breathwork that I do most of the time. And this is called the 4x4x4 method. So what you will do is inhale 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds, And then exhale for 4 seconds. When you do that, mas bumabagal ang heartbeat mo. Mas kaya mo mag-isip. So when something triggers you or dumating na naman yung mga tanong na yon, you gotta understand na, sige, hinga ko lang to para makapag-isip ako kung paano ko naaayusin to. Kung paano ko natatanggapin na nagkamali ako. Kung paano ko natatanggapin na ganun talaga. May mga bagay talagang hindi ko kayang gawin. So you need to breathe. You need to breathe and breathe and breathe. Okay? So that's the second thing that I learned. The third thing that I learned when I was battling with that question, am I good enough, was I needed to celebrate small wins. Akala kasi natin, pag meron tayong goal sa buhay, pag may pangarap tayo sa buhay, madali lang natin makuha. Or isang straight na linya lang yan para makuha natin yon. The truth is, hindi. Marami tayong mga bagay na pagdadaanan, marami tayong mga experiences, mga circumstances na ibibigay ng buhay na hindi natin kontrolado. At minsan, pag nahihirapan na tayo, hindi na panghihinaan na tayo ng loob para makamit yung mga pangarap natin sa buhay. One way to battle that is to celebrate small wins. When I say celebrate small wins is to find the small victories na nangyayari sa buhay mo. If you want to be a doctor, you can't be a doctor na yun lang ang pangarap mo, yun lang ang goal mo. If you study well for an exam, if you finish your modules, your assignment, you should be proud of yourself. You should celebrate that because that is a small win. And when we celebrate small wins, we become happy. And when we're happy, we become motivated. And when we're motivated, we build confidence sa sarili natin na kaya pala natin. Nare-register sa utak natin na kaya pala natin gawin yung mga bagay na hindi natin akalain na kaya natin gawin. Gives us that confidence na kakayanin natin kahit anong mangyari. So we need to celebrate small wins. For example, ako, when I finish a talk like this, when I finish a part of my work, I treat myself with a pint of pistachio. Kumakain ako ng ice cream para i-congrats yung sarili ko na good job, you did well. And yung feeling na yun na ang saya, yung dopamine na nilililis ng katawan mo dahil kakakain ka ng ice cream, aalalahanin ng utak mo yun. And so when the next challenge comes, you will be motivated to finish it again dahil gusto mo maramdaman ulit yung saya ng pagkain ng ice cream, yung pag-celebrate ng mga maliliit na victories mo. And when you experience a small victory in your life, I want you to hold on to that. To hold on to that feeling and wag mong kakalimutan yun. Yun ang tatandaan mo. Every time nahihirapan ka, there's gonna be a reward at the end of it. So I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna try again. Even though I have these fears, I have this insecurity, I will try my best to keep moving forward. So you need to celebrate small wins, okay? So first, you need to accept your humanness. Next is you need to breathe. Third is you need to celebrate small wins. The next thing that I trained myself to do for me to battle that question is I needed to limit the things na pumapasok sa utak ko. You need to stop overloading your brain. Okay? When we know what to say no to, we know what to say yes. When we say no to the things that don't matter, that's the only time that we can say yes to the things that do. And ano ba ibig sabihin nun, Alec? The age of technology, lahat tayo laging nasa social media, lahat tayo online. And most of the time, pinapasok natin sa utak natin lahat ng pwede nating ipasok, kahit yung hindi mga mahalaga. Pansinin nyo, pag nag-online kayo, nalalaman nyo kung anong kinain ng kaibigan nyo, anong high school kayo, anong ginagawa nung ex nyo, nung friend nyo, anong suot nung crush nyo na celebrity. Pero yung mga ganong bagay, ino-overload niya yung utak natin. And when we do that, we compare ourselves to other people. Bakit siya ang saya-saya ng buhay niya pero ako ngayon hindi? Bakit siya okay ang buhay niya pero ako ngayon hindi? When we are in social media, we tend to compare ourselves. But the thing na kailangan natin maintindihan is that the things that we see on social media are just highlights. Nobody posts their struggles, their challenges, yung mga paghihirap nila. Nobody posts that. But those challenges, lahat yun pinagdadaanan ng lahat ng tao. So I need you to always remember that the things that we see on social media are just a part of other people's life. It's not the truth. It's not the whole truth. And when we understand that, one thing that helped me fight my insecurities and my fears and my doubts was understanding that everybody is weak at something. Lahat ng tao may pagkukulang at may pagkakamali. Kahit pinakasikat na artista pa yan, kahit si Taylor Swift pa yan, kahit, kahit ako na nagsalita ako dito, marami ako mga bagay na pinagdadaanan na hindi ko sinashare online. So I want you to mute or unfollow the people who does not bring you peace, who does not help you with your self-esteem, who does not give you the concept of self-love. And follow the people who makes you feel bad about yourselves, and follow people who adds a light into yourself, who inspires you, who motivates you. That's one way to limit the inputs na pumapasok sa utak natin. But first, we gotta learn how to say no to the things na hindi naman mahalaga sa atin. Okay? So that's the fourth thing. Do not overload your brain or limit your input. Okay? The last thing that I learned to do to learn this concept of self-love that ultimately helped me in fighting that question, am I good enough, was I needed to explore an old or a new hobby. I needed to find something that lights me up. I was studying in Mapua as an engineer, but that's not something that really excites me in the morning. So I had to find a passion project. And I learned in myself that my passion was in talking to people, was in helping with people, was in connecting with people. So I found a way, I tried to find a way that I could do that. And one way that I did that was, in social media. I uploaded vlogs on YouTube. I created this podcast where I help other people, where I talk to other people. And nakita ko or nalaman ko na andun pala yung kasiyahan ko before na talagang tinago ko lang sarili ko. You gotta find something that you're good at and you really love doing. So if not even your passion, even if you're just being full-time, you feel like you're doing your passion pero medyo nahihirapan ka, one way you can handle that or you deal with that is to do leisures. Okay, find your leisure. Your leisure is something that clears your mind and makes your body active. Makes your body participates in actively. So, for example, Jesus always liked to go to the beach and just magmuni-muni doon. But before he could do that, he would walk a lot of miles before being there and just sitting down and think. So Jesus loved walking. Jesus loved, walking with his friends. So if you are a fan of just seeing the trees, seeing air, seeing, the nature, you could do that as well. Para naman makapagpahinga ka, para naman maklear yung utak mo. Or you could, for example, Einstein played the violin. So if you liked music nung bata ka, do that as well. And you'll see na itong mga bagay na to, ito yung mga bagay na gusto mo lang gawin for the sake of it. Hindi siya dahil kailangan mong gawin. Pwede mo siyang itigil anytime. 'Di ba? Wala kang nakukuha reward. Gusto mo lang siyang gawin kasi masaya kang ginagawa yun. You need to find something na magpapasaya ka, papasaya sa sarili mo. And when you do that, makikita mo na marami ka palang version bilang tao. And hindi lang ikaw tong tao na to na weak, na may pagkukulang, may mali. Marami ka ring strengths na nakalimutan mo lang na meron ka. So find something that lights you up, okay? Si Chris Bosh, basketball player, NBA player, pero natuto siyang, tinuruan niya yung sarili niyang mag-coding, kasi medyo geek din siya. A basketball player taught himself how to code. It was different from the things that he was doing, but it was something that he enjoyed doing. So you gotta find that. And when you do that, makikita mo na parang, grabe, ang dami ko palang kayang gawin. So I want you to explore an old or probably a new hobby. Malay mo, magaling ka palang kumanta, magaling ka pala sumayaw. Hindi mo lang talagang pinapush yung sarili mo. Why not record yourself and post it on TikTok? Why not record yourself and post it on Instagram stories? 'Di ba? And in that way, mako-cultivate mo yung skill mo, and at the same time, you're doing something that you enjoy doing. And that's very, very important. Because when you do something that you love, eventually you'll get good at it. And when you do something that you're good at it gives you that confidence. And when you have confidence, you will eventually learn to answer the question, am I good enough? And the answer is always, yes, you are. You are good enough. You have been always good enough. You will always be enough. And I want you to remember that. If there is something na may kukunin kayo dito sa talk na to, it's that. You are good enough. You have always been good enough. No matter what your parents told you, what your friends told you, what the society told you, you are enough. And you matter. You matter a lot to this world. Your value does not depend on another people's or on another person's perspective. You have your own value, and do not let other people tell you na ganito ka lang, na hindi ka enough. Kasi you are enough. Okay? So those are the things that I learned that helped me deal with my insecurities. A, accept your humanness. B, breathe. C, celebrate small wins. D, don't overload your brain. E, explore an old or a new hobby. And I hope that you apply that in every day of your life. Okay? So again, thank you so much for listening. I hope meron kayo natutunan. I hope meron kayo napulot. If may mga tanong kayo, don't hesitate to just ask me questions. Send me a message on @smalltalkpodcast, and I will answer your questions as soon as I can. And if you want to learn more about the things that I do, follow me on TikTok @smalltalkpodcast. And you can also listen to my podcast on Spotify. It's free. Just search for Small Talk with Alec Cuenca. And talagang matututunan nyo pa yung mga gantong bagay na pinag-uusapan natin ng mas deeper, ng mas mahaba. So, I can't wait to hear what your thoughts are. Kung meron kayong mga ideas and natuwa man kayo. If you connected with the things that I've said, go ahead and tag me on post this video or post a picture and tag me at Small Talk Podcast on Instagram. Okay? So, ayan. Maraming salamat, Ma'am Faye, sa nag-invite sa akin dito. Maraming salamat po. And I hope that you all have a great day ahead of you.